In the courthouse hallway. That was directed by, oh my gosh, Melissa Bernstein, one of our executive producers, and she was also an executive producer on Breaking Bad as well. Sure. I think it was her first time directing. It was her first or second.
Wow. That's a hell of a way to come out the gates.
Well, she's produced over 200 hour-long episodes of television, so she knows what she's talking about. But it's different when it's on your shoulders. And what I found was she was such a good director because, one, she had a great script to stand on, a great crew to stand on, and actors who were willing to listen. But as an actor, I found her suggestions to me were really great in that scene in particular. She just sort of dropped some things in my ear to think about while Jimmy has his I am the one who knocks moment. And, working with Bob that day, too, he had a lot. And there was there's a crane shot, and you see the shot that follows me. Right. It leads me, and he's exploding behind me.
You're like more in focus than he is.
What's that?
Oh, just like depth of field wise, you're even more in focus than he is. He's more like in the background, like screaming at you. It's kind of more from your perspective than his.
Oh yeah, it is, and which is funny because I've always been under the illusion of course, when I'm in a scene with Bob in particular, when Bob has like lots of fun monologues and gotchas and all that, we're watching him, but it was a reminder that different things are happening because we are Howard at that moment, because we away from this Jimmy, and so they pull down with me as he's exploding on me. Like, you're right, I'm in focus, and then she flips around to a silhouette picture of Jimmy as he's still screaming at me, and his arms and legs in his briefcase, and what he looks like is like a marionette. He looks like a coked up puppet who's just sort of around, and then she flips back around onto Jimmy's face, and he's out of gas. And then he sort of looks around, and it's this great moment where we get to be back in with him. And, that's Melissa's direction, which was awesome. And that also, by the way, has gotten memed a bunch.
Sure.
With him screaming and having fireworks on me. And it's funny, I've known Bob a long time, and we worked together for a long time. And it wasn't like, oh, it's just a scene, because the timing was tough because there was a crane that moved up at one point. It was one of those days where you're getting late in the day, and all of a sudden you got this important piece, but you got mechanical issues, you got dance issues. And once we got the dance floor figured out, then we only had about 5 or 6 runs at it, really. But he got it really like on the first or second take, I think is what they ended up using, because he really just put it all together. And it was one of those days where him and I usually chatty with one another in between. And just by the nature of the scene, we just kept ourselves that day. He was overdoing his thing. I was doing my thing. And, in my mind, I was just sort of working on the idea of, like, to your point, this is it for me.
Right.
I give him one more time. I give him one more chance. I'm as honest and as clean and as forthright as I can be with him.
Oh, you had the patience of a saint with him that season.
Right. And then all of a sudden he gives me that. And that's the walkout of like, I am done.
Oh, yeah. And you walked away when, nobody would have blamed you for firing back, and you just kind of didn't. Which is memorable.
You look back into your other point, I think that also fan base wise had people go like, you know what? He did try. Howard's not a bad guy. He's really put himself out there. So I think that, I don't think it necessarily put people on my side, but it certainly, I think, maybe got me off the hook.